I'm Vince.
And it's time once again
To recommend things.
Vince!
Yes.
Vince!
Yes.
What?
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 Yes?
Yes! What do you recommend today?
I recommend tacks. You could stick them into walls, you could stab people with them, and you won't kill them, it'll just be really irritating. Anyway, I recommend a movie. I recommend Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, and
Never seen that.
it's a great flick. Now, I was watching, I believe it's in the special features on this DVD, and Eddie Murphy says about this movie, with most modern comedies, what you get is just a collection of skits, and they're strung together to support an overall plot. And,
Which is usually kind of cookie cutter and one you've seen 1,000 times, right?
So you could watch each scene individually within the movie and be like, oh, that was funny. And what you don't really get is, or what you don't usually get with your comedic cinema, is a decently thought out story, characters who develop over a period of time, and have some sort of change. It's interesting. And that's what Eddie Murphy was trying to sell this movie as, is a movie that's not just a comedy, a good comedy, but a movie that is a good movie.
It worked.
And I agree, actually. I think it's a really decent flick. I mean, there's one thing that's been bothering me. I've been reading a lot of these things recently, or watching them, or whatever. Most of this stuff is just assaulting my senses, and all these characters will start early in their lives, and the movie will end late in their lives. And that's been bothering me, that I've been seeing that quite often. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe there's lots of it out there right now. But having a movie that takes place over, 60, 70 years, that can be kind of a cumbersome weight within a movie. That's and it's hard to pull off. I mean, personally, The Godfather's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I didn't enjoy it because it was just a big span of time for me. Anyway. And granted that this is an even longer period of time. So now that I've completely complained about part of this movie, let's talk about why it's good. Now, what this movie's about, the reason it's called Life, is Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy get caught up in some bootlegging. And they're bootlegging the wrong part of America, back in the day, we'll call it. And
we're not talking about DVDs, no sir.
During Prohibition. And, well, of course, when else are you going to bootleg unless you're doing DVDs or something? But that's a good point.
I just felt the need to say that. Like, wait a minute, they were bootlegging DVDs back in the what? Anyway.
Back in the 19 hoo-da-ha?
Right.
Anyway, so these guys are in the wrong part of the country. They get sentenced to life. And most of this movie takes place inside of a prison. Or, well, not a prison, but a work yard, or whatever you call one of those places. And it's interesting because you really start to care for these characters. You really start to care for who Eddie Murphy is and Martin Lawrence. And by the by, for me to care about Martin Lawrence as anything, whether it be a character or not, is kind of a feat. This movie performed something that I didn't think was possible. Because I don't like Martin Lawrence.
I don't generally love Eddie Murphy myself. So.
I like Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
Hate Martin Lawrence. And the only reason why Bad Boys was anywhere near fun was because of Will Smith. And, God, Martin Lawrence. His stand-up is awful. I'm just saying.
You're really selling this DVD.
Yes. All I'm saying is that this makes Martin Lawrence palatable. And he, as this character, I don't know, it's just perfect. He manages to step outside of his I'm just a filthy guy attitude that he plays in most movies and becomes sort of this character who's kind of repressed. He's a guy who, when the movie opens, he's just excited to be starting his bank-telling job, and he's got a little bit of an ego on him. And throughout this movie, he drops the ego a bit and manages to develop a friendship with Eddie Murphy, a guy who he really didn't want to be with in the first place. Well, be with bootlegging, which I suppose would be a good reason not to want to be around a guy. But, so...
You don't want to get caught for illegally selling DVDs.
But Eddie Murphy's kind of this lovable tramp, this guy he's a criminal, but you like him anyway because he has the best intentions type of thing.
Right.
And we take a lot of classic ideas, mold them together, and we get a star-studded cast and a decent movie. I love this movie. I haven't watched this movie in I don't know how long, but I remember the plot, so...
Oh, good job.
I love it so much. That's the reason. I sold Death Sentence much better than I sold this.
Oh, that's all right.
I do recommend this as highly as I do Death Sentence.
I do think I'll probably watch it. Today I'm recommending something on a dare. Vince dared me to recommend Throwback Mountain Dew, so that's what I'm recommending. So I actually decided to do this, besides just the dare, for another reason, and that is to talk about how big and how obviously huge nostalgia is right now in selling stuff. This was really cool, and I totally bought into this because I saw this and I was like, "Oh, cool! It's like the really old logo from like before I was around. I gotta try that." And what was cool was that it isn't just the logo; they also actually used the old formula for making Mountain Dew. So you're not just getting the regular Mountain Dew when you buy this; you get it with real sugar. And it tastes very different. I mean, well, not very different, but it tastes a little different. It tastes like Mountain Dew used to taste. So if you want to know what Mountain Dew used to taste like, especially like before we were born, you should get this if it's still around. I think at the moment they're still selling this. And in a lot of places they also have this on sale. They've been selling these cheaper than regular Mountain Dew. Anyway, but I wanted to bring this up because this has been a really big thing for a lot of these companies lately, because people know that nostalgia is in, people know that old school is in, and I heard recently that KFC is about to do this big campaign ad where they're going to be showing all of their really older commercials. And that's how they're going to start selling things, because apparently, and I think this is very interesting. My dad told me about this, and he said that he read in a paper, and I don't remember which paper he read it in, so this is real credible. He said that according to some study, that I guess KFC did this poll and found that only 16% of people under the age of 20 knew who Colonel Sanders was. Which like floored me, if they're right. Like it totally floored me. And so they were like, so they thought that the best way to start selling their product, at least for the foreseeable future, is to start showing their older commercials and letting all the younger people know the history of their company and who Colonel Sanders was. And I think that's very cool. And I imagine that we might start seeing other companies starting to do this sort of stuff too. And because I really like nostalgia and old school stuff, and I totally buy into this sort of stuff sometimes, I think it's pretty cool. I'm really excited about it.
You think they'll sell some of their old chicken?
I don't know. Probably not. It's probably a little old.
We've been freezing this for 60 years now.
No, but they might. But they might do something like go back to the old boxes or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, and I did that on a dare. So anyway, that's what I'm recommending today.
These two things could not be further apart. Well, I suppose the containers are made out of plastic.
Anyway, thanks a lot for watching us recommend things and talk about stuff. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
We'll see you next time. I don't know, the same thing is happening this time as the last time I watched this.
What?
I'm watching my DVD.